Usually the table is not completely empty like this. I only have made one map for this campaign because a lot of how the greater map is going to be laid out is going to be determined by today's world building. All right, so I had two major sources of inspiration for this campaign and then one minor source. The minor source is the Eberron book. There's one game mechanic from this book that I really like and want to kind of develop for this campaign, which are the dragon marks. How like each noble house has their own kind of magic experience and magic secrets that they're known for throughout the game world. That some of them have kind of built businesses around. So your noble house in this game, whatever it is, and whatever you guys collectively decide on, is going to have essentially a dragon mark. We're not going to call it that because we're not actually playing Eberron, but it's going to function a little bit like a dragon mark in that all of you are going to have access to your house spellcasting, which is going to be a group of spells that you can use that you'll have spell slots for and such.
Wow.
And it's going to influence how the rest of the world sees you. Depending on what your house does and what their place in the world is going to determine how you guys are seen and how you're treated and what you're able to do on the political stage. One of the big sources of inspiration is Game of Thrones. I reread all the books this year while I was putting some of this stuff together. I really wanted to explore things like political intrigue, your house against other houses, people inside of your house against each other. It's not my intention to abandon the D&D adventure paradigm. You're still going to be going in dungeons and having a lot of combat. But the political stuff, house versus house, is going to be a main element of at least the main city that you guys are going to be in and around. The third inspiration is a video game series that I don't think anybody here has played called Suikoden.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
So what happens in Suikoden and what's going to happen in this game at some point is the nice peaceful city, the imperial capital that you all live in, is going to be attacked by outside forces. You're going to be driven away from it out into the wild, and you're going to establish your own base.
Spoilers.
Well, I just said the game's inspired by Suikoden. What did you think it was going to be? So there's going to be political intrigue, and there's going to be elements of base building, where you're going to establish yourselves. And it's kind of, I mean, it's up to you what you do with it. We'll see which direction the campaign goes at that point. But traditionally in the Suikoden games, what the heroes do, if you decide to be heroes, is establish their base and then eventually turn the tide of the war and come back and liberate the Imperial City.
Can I be the Tenfu star?
Which one is that?
The Star of Wealth?
You're all kind of the Star of Wealth.
It's Cheapo's. It's Cheapo's star.
Which one is the cheap? Oh, Chipu, the cat man. Okay.
Cheapo, yeah, Cobalt.
Oh God, I hate those.
Best thing in the series.
No, they're not. What is wrong with you? You know what? In fact, you're banished. You're not playing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not playing, and you still have to do all the archival work for YouTube.
Oh no!
All right. So the first thing on the table is character limitations. This is the most restricted I've ever had character creation be in a D&D game. Let me...
You monster.
Yeah, I'm a monster.
This is a Ghost RPG horror story.
So your race, everybody's a human. There are no demi-human races in this world. Elves and dwarves are the ancients. They're creatures from years long, long past. Surely no human house in living or even ancestral memory will have come across an elf. There's no elven bloodlines. There's no dwarves squirreled away in the deepest mountains. Things like Dragonborn and Tabashi and Tieflings are completely unheard of and would just be considered monsters. And monsters are kind of a big deal in this world. Human versus monster has been like the great epic battle for centuries. The central core of the setting is going to be the Holy Church that every member of the Republic in good standing is a member of. And one of the churches like ultimate missions is to keep these forces of darkness, these terrible creatures of the abyss, at bay. And they are really, really good at it, to the point where monsters within human borders are essentially unheard of. And consorting with them, or, dear God, mating with them, is one of the, like, deadly sins of your religion. If you find orcs, they're probably up to no good, and they're probably about to be exterminated by holy knights on a quest, kind of thing. So you all are going to start out as human. And I have good news and bad news for you.
Are we 30,000 gold in debt?
No, you are not. The good news is, for the first time in 5 campaigns, I've decided to start you all at level 3 instead of level 1. The bad news is your class at level 1. I'm going to paste this in the Flumph party chat, and I'll paste it also in the Twitch chat, so Twitch chat can peruse it. This is the Homebrew Noble class. This is cobbled together from a couple of people who have made this class as homebrew before, plus I've overhauled it for my own purposes. So the first thing you can do is roll up a level 1 character with this as your level 1 class. My intent is that this class should be playable if you want to take it all the way up, but I know from just monitoring your guys' Discord conversations for the past few weeks, it sounds like everybody's going to multi-class away from this, because you guys want to play everything else. And that's perfectly fine. You can multi-class. Just your first level has to be noble. I'll give you guys a minute to...
Melee rebuke and detect stump, huh?
Summon nobody?
Vampiric itch. Trimension door. Ooh.
So these are just placeholder house spells, because I don't know yet what your house spells are going to be. Now, before anybody does anything, because here's the rule thing that came up while I was designing this noble class. At level 1, your saving throws... First thing in this edition, saving throws are proficiencies. They're called saving throw proficiencies. When you multi-class, you do not get the proficiencies from your second class. You can't start as a rogue who doesn't get wisdom saving throw proficiency and then multi-class into cleric, and now you do have it. Doesn't work that way. So if you plan on playing a rogue in this game, you will not, by default, have a dexterity saving throw proficiency. You have intelligence and charisma are the saving throws that nobles get. So I have 2 options for you on the table if you want to play a different class and still get their saving throws. The first thing you can do is there's a rule in the book that I'm perfectly happy to use called the variant human. By default, a human character, which means all of you, gets +1 to all of your ability scores at the start of the game. The variant human only gets +1 to 2 ability scores, but starts with an extra skill and an extra feat. And one of the feats is called Resilient, which gives you proficiency in one of the saving throws. So one viable example, if you want to be a rogue that has proficiency with dex saves, is to take the variant human trait and pick that resilient feat at first level. That's one way to do it. The second way to do it is level 2 of Noble gives you a class feature called Educated Response, which once per short or long rest lets you substitute your intelligence saving throw for any saving throw. Does that make sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Or you could just not do either of those things and just go forward with intelligence and charisma saves. I have new players, so I want to do a quick rundown of what the different saving throws are. The big 3 are Dexterity, Constitution, and Wisdom. Those are the most common ones. And every class in the PHB, I believe, has at least one of those as their starting saves.
They all have exactly one.
They have, okay. That said, so a strength saving throw is basically only used to like keep your balance, or like if you're trying to, I think that's the only time that books ever call for a strength save. It said something's trying to knock you prone. That's basically it.
Strength is a real weird one because of athletics kind of overrides it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Charisma and what's the other uncommon one?
Intelligence.
Intelligence.
Yeah, charisma and intelligence are both avoiding very specific magical effects.
So in the actual printed material, intelligence is basically only useful against mind flayers, and that's kind of it.
The maze spell.
The maze spell. And
Yep, that's literally it.
charisma saving throws are also for very specific things, but they also tend to be very nasty things. Like if you fail a charisma save, something very bad is about to happen. I do tend to use intelligence saves more often than the rules as written, simply because in my campaigns, like psionics is something that can create magical effects that calls for an intelligence saving throw. Whether or not you guys come up against a lot of psionics in this campaign, I'm not sure yet, but I wanted to make sure you had an option to still roll up your rogue and get your dex save if you wanted it. You can take that resilient feat as much as you want. You are going to be able to pick feats later on as well. Like I said, my hope is that this noble class is actually playable all the way up as high as you want to take it. So
I thought it looked pretty good. I know I forgot to give you feedback on it, but I had read it over.
Okay. So at level 1 noble, this is the stuff all of you are going to get, is you're going to get access to your house spellcasting. House spellcasting works basically like warlock spellcasting does, like pact magic. The difference is warlocks have their big warlock spell list. Your house spellcasting is only going to be your house spells. So what we're going to do is decide like something your house specializes in. Hospitality, travel, construction, something like that. Something that they can make use of in society to increase their wealth. And then the spells you get, we're going to pick between 2 and 4 spells for each level up to about 5 that your house basically controls, that coincide with that goal.
Should we treat the spellcasting multi-classing as if it was the warlock pact magic?
Yes.
House magic? Okay.
Mechanically, it
work?
works exactly like pact magic does. Right down to how many spell slots you get and what slot level. And if you go to level 11 noble, you get a class feature called Magical Intrigue, which works just like the warlock's high-level spellcasting does.
Yeah.
The second thing you're going to get at first level is an attendant. Your attendant is a commoner who basically exists to see to your every whim and fancy. They are your servant, they are bound to your house by honor, and they serve for life. You can treat this person as a friend or as a lover, or you can treat them as absolute dog shit. That's up to you. But they basically have a commoner stat block, which is not very powerful. They're not meant to go into battle with you and fight monsters, although if you tell them to, they will. So in addition to your own character that you're rolling up, you'll also be rolling up this commoner who is your attendant. What that means in the context of your character is up to you. You could be a noble lady who has a handmaiden that follows her around and dresses her in the morning, and you could be a knight who has a squire. The only requirement is that this person is not a member of the nobility, and they're not related to any of you by blood. The third thing that you're all going to start with is this ability, Words of Resolve. This is basically a less powerful version of the Paladin's Lay on Hands. This is a way for you to give each other temp HP. You have a small pool of temp HP that you can give. As long as somebody's not already unconscious so they can hear your words, you can give them some temp HP. So this is one option you have for character class. You could take this noble class all the way and just continue leveling it up, or you could take the required 1 level of noble and then immediately multi-class into something else, or you can take 2 levels of noble, get that educated response, and then start level 1 in your new class. And this is why I've been trying to not encourage the what class should I play discussion that's been going on in Discord.
So the main issue I see with this is Beyond does not support custom classes, and trying to hack it to not have your first level rogue is going to be almost impossible. Like the character sheet's going to be completely useless.
Yeah. So thank you, Brick Road.
Yeah, you're welcome. You can't
So,
do a custom class and beyond.
You can do custom class. No, I just double checked their forums. There's a post from 6 days ago saying they still can't do custom class.
You do custom subclasses.
So there's a blank. General Google Sheets character sheet
Yeah,
that
I guess I'll just go back
found.
to the Google sheet I built for Ed.
There's no way to make this work in D&D.
Not a class.
Oh.
It's like the only thing you can't customize right now. Because I immediately like, okay, I'll go start entering this because I've done that before for backgrounds, but nope.
We can't even like hack it in.
Not really. Like, even if any hack would, the problem would be it would the first level of whatever class you officially put into the sheet would just be too much,
Gotcha.
just too much of a mess.
Yeah, because it would try to give you all of the beginning proficiencies and things. Okay. For today, then, rolling up characters, just put it wherever you can, and then we'll find a good Google sheet afterwards. I might still have the old one bookmarked.
I just linked one in Discord.
Okay.
I mean, there's.
I think I've used it.
I'm just gonna make a copy of the one I made for Ed, so I'm very happy with that one.
I would like all of you to use the same sheet,
Oh, okay.
but I can deal with that later. I didn't know that you couldn't do custom classes in D&D Beyond. That seems like a big hole in their service. Nonetheless, you all have to start as my freaky custom class that isn't balanced at all. And this feeds into a new rule that I'm doing for this campaign. There's a level up requirement. It's not enough to just have the experience to level up. Every time you level up, you're going to gain a reputation. This is something that you're known for, something you're renowned for, something that people, if they heard this as like a title or a nickname, would associate with you. Your first level reputation is just that you're a member of this house. So we'll find a spot on the character sheet to list all of your reputations as you level up. For example, if you get a level of fighter by winning a big victory over a bunch of orcs, you may gain the reputation Orc Slayer. It need not be any more complicated than that. But you guys are going to be famous in this world. People are going to know who you are. And even by the time you get to experience level 5 and 6, you're more powerful than basically everybody in the hoi polloi. Level 5 and 6 characters are incredibly powerful in D&D. And by that point, people know who you are. You've gotten around, especially because you're members of the nobility. All right, should we just start rolling up some characters?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's how we're going to do it. Get your drawing or typing tool of choice. Everybody's going to roll 3d6 6 times and write those numbers on the table somewhere in a nice little group in your colors so everybody can see them.
3d6. Okay.
Hang on, let me get it. Fuck.
This is almost a personality test because some of these people will try to use like the type tool in Tabletop Simulator, and some people will just draw it using like the crayon.
I'm writing it down and then I'm gonna transcribe it once.
That's fine. I see Treble's rolling pretty low down there. Solitayre got a good one.
I haven't rolled yet.
Oh, somebody's rolling in front of you.
These blue ones are me.
Okay. Treble, that is a wild set you've got going there.
Many times.
I like wild
6
sets.
times.
Wild sets are always fun. Mine is about as middle of the road as you can probably get.
It happens.
Come on. Trash.
Treble, these are worse than a commoner stat block.
I know.
Okay, so I just rolled a 4.
Okay, well, write a 4.
There you go. 10, 8, 10, 6, 9, 9.
I'm not liking these rolls here.
There you go.
That's better than Treble got.
Not by much. Destil, save us.
Ah.
I mean, that's numbers right there.
Ugh. Ugh.
I'm
We
generating characters for 4 campaigns using the same method. I've never seen rolls this bad. I
We
thought
just
you, I
got-
thought you guys.
If everyone
changed
goes
it.
to my numbers, I'm going to be very
There's
sad.
another 4. How about that?
I'll meet your 4.
Can we just go with the standard array, please?
I'm gonna be the worst noble ever.
Hey, all my numbers are odd.
That can be helpful.
You got that
We're
going for
playing
you.
humans.
Right.
That can be helpful.
Mm.
Lucius had what, a 6 like Constitution or something like that. You just
Alex
had,
had a
no
3
hit points.
charisma.
Tiny font up here.
I can't.
Mine actually wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for the 4.
Is it even
I think
possible to roll a 4 using the 46 method? Yeah, it is, because you can roll 4 ones.
Yeah.
Oh, I've only been
Well,
rolling
46
3.
you throw out the lowest.
Right,
I've been
but
doing
if
it
you
all.
roll 4 ones, you're just throwing out a 1.
I've been doing it wrong then. I need to redo mine
Why?
because I was only rolling 3.
You're supposed to roll 3.
Oh,
No, I'm not a gracious DM. All right, let's look at
I don't know what to do with
arrays.
these numbers.
What do we got here?
Dog shit. Like, this is tradition for us. Don't worry about it.
The highest number on the table is a 15. That's very interesting. We got a lot of type here's up here. I see some numbers under there.
Zoom in and hit the hit the trash can. All right, Destil.
Yeah, it looks like we're all doing mine again.
I
So,
think it's Destil's.
you can, when you go to pick you can pick whatever array you see on this table. You don't have to take your own. Although in Cyris and Treble's case, I think it'd be funny if they did.
I mean, no. No.
Rolling bad stats is a moral failing. I'm not sure why you guys all decided to roll low.
Okay, listen here.
Yeah. What do you got?
It's for the challenge.
I have seen you rant for hours about training dice.
Yes. And
Oh.
where are you going with this, Treble?
Mm. Blaming us for this is basically the same thing
I
as
mean, if
saying
you-
that you can train your dice.
If you take Destil's array, you can start with a 16. That's not bad. 16 is all right. In 5th edition, there's no such thing as a dump stat, by the way. Like, all 6 of your stats are going to get used in this campaign.
Strength isn't always that important. I would say charisma too, but I feel like this campaign that won't be true.
Yeah, until I have a monster that tries to knock you down so it can roll an advantage with its second attack.
Find a better way to solve that than wasting points on strength.
So yeah, you can select any of the arrays on the table. I would select Destil's because
Yeah.
it's not that much better than the standard array.
the standard array is better.
I know, that's why
Yeah,
I said
standard array is
Yeah,
better.
standard array I think is a little bit better. Well, wait, does the 5 standard array only have a 14 in it though?
I don't even
It's-
know.
It's
I think they
15.
Oh, is it still 15, 15,
Yeah.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10? 12, 10, 8?
12, 10, 8.
Mm-hmm. It's 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So McDohl, which array are you going with? This purple one?
Yeah.
Is everyone taking the purple array?
Yeah,
I think I might take McDohl's.
You can take mine.
The 13
Why?
high?
I mean, there are quite a few odd numbers in there. You get a 14. You get a 14 in there. You're getting a little bit more balanced than Dustles.
Yeah, the problem is with Destils is you get a 5.
It's true.
Yeah, and
So,
that's the risk you take.
The
I'm going for the
green
5.
away is like the advanced commoner, kind of.
The commoner +1.
So we have 4 purples and a green.
I'm taking Destils.
See, this is the kind of like awkwardness that I feed on as a DM. I love them.
So I'm taking the purple.
I believe every D&D character should have 1 or 2 just garbage stats.
Never feels good.
It does for me. I rolled up a warlock in a game that we ran a couple years ago. Using the 46 method, I had 1 stat over 13. And everything else was just complete trash.
It's very, very difficult doing 3d6 to get over 15.
It's alright.
Yeah.
But because then your racial bonuses take you up a little bit, which can put you at 16 or 17.
Brook Road, what you just tell yourself whatever you need to sleep at night.
I sleep... Well, no, I've got insomnia. It's not related to D&D, though.
I had
Your
trouble sleeping
misery
last
is
night
not the
myself.
reason I don't sleep.
I had trouble sleeping last night myself, so I ended up going back to sleep after a few hours.
I think with these stats, I've decided my character is going to be a coward.
The house spellcasting is charisma?
House spellcasting is intelligence.
Intelligence, okay.
Okay, that changes things a little bit for me, actually.
Intelligence and charisma are the most useful stats for the noble class itself.
I'm still probably going to be a bard, guys. So.
I know that my campaigns always run lower stats typically than other campaigns, I'm going to waive the multi-class requirements.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So, because in the rules as written, you have to have high stats to be able to multi-class. I think it'd be funny to watch you guys try to be a fighter with a 13 or 14 strength.
You mean a 5 strength?
That'd be really funny.
I mean, you could just be a dex-based fighter,
That's true.
right? I mean, you could roll that. I could build Gus again with that stat array. I just, instead of plate armor, I just get some studded leather and...
So instead of having completely ridiculous galactic AC...
I would have -1 to what I had before.
Damn it.
So, yeah.
So this character sheet that I linked, you can do custom classes with.
We had a pretty good one that we used for a couple campaigns.
Do we have one?
That
we're
was a
actually
weird
in?
Google thing that doesn't work anymore.
Though the one
Google
that I
Apps.
linked, the one that I linked is actually pretty decent.
There's also, like, I guess we could figure out what we want to do, but there's also the Dungeon Master's Vault, which is a website that functions similarly to D&D Beyond. You just have to load the stuff in, which I have all the files for, if we want to do that. So
Just do whatever for now, even if you just type it into a text file for now.
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And then we'll have a discussion about what sheet we actually want to use afterwards. I did not know D&D Beyond didn't.
I didn't as well.
That's why.
I knew you could do subclasses, but not.
Maybe that's why they don't want people generating new classes. They prefer them to generate new subclasses. Also, there is the noble background in the PHB when you go to select your background. My intent was that you can still pick that even as the noble class, and it would still give you useful stuff. So you can like double up on noble in the beginning, and it should just work fine.
Okay, let's see. So that's 5, 7, 11, 13, 13, 15. Sadness.
I don't know. That array for a starting character, I could make use of it. I've done more with less.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever thought that I maybe won't play the variant human. Nah, variant human, you can take a feat and increase one of those. You get 3 of them bumped up.
That's the only way to start with a feat at first level, and feats can be very, very good for first level characters.
Yeah.
I also hear they go in your
No.
socks.
They do go in your socks. Also, remember that Tasha's has new feats as well. There's lots of, like, gain +1 to this stat, and here's a list of things you can do now. Kind of feats in Tasha's.
Crap.
Resilient is the only feat that gives you proficiency with a saving throw, though.
Does that also increase the stat by 1? I think it might.
It does. Yeah, you can, like, take... It's increase con by 1, and you gain proficiency with Constitution saving throws.
I think my first 3 characters had multiple resilience because I don't like saving throws in 5e.
Right. The only one that has reasonable saving throws are bards, because they get Jack of all trades, which applies.
Yes.
Monk.
Well, Monk eventually gets his all saving throws.
Yeah, Monk burns key points for advantage.
Not on
Wait,
save. They just get proficiency in all saving throws.
That's true,
It's
they
pretty
also
late,
do
though.
that.
It's level
That's
13
pretty
or
high,
something.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
proficiency
really-
doesn't matter until you're high level anyway, because the bonus is...
It's really hard to get a monk to fail a saving throw.
I know. I've tried.
Then they just slippery mind out of it, or whatever their equivalent of that is called,
Yeah.
when they do.
It's really hard to also target their AC because they dodge every single round.
I feel like there's a better way to spend points.
I don't, man. I think key point dodge is the best thing.
Key point dodge is really good. I played Liberation, remember?
All right, let's talk about your noble house because that's probably
Hey.
something we're going to have to get on the page before we can even roll up characters. So here's the backstory of the game. I'll tell you a little bit about the government in the holy city that you're going to spend the campaign in, at least the early parts of the campaign. Does everybody have the numbers they need off the table here?
Yep.
I have
Numbers
all
we
of them.
need? No.
Guys.
Let me...
Not the numbers we need, but the numbers we've been given.
The numbers we don't, not the numbers we need, but the numbers we deserve.
So everybody took Destil's array, and except for Saul, who took McDohl's array. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds right.
I'm going to make a screenshot of this table right now. Because if you guys get killed and have to roll up a new character, you're just going to be coming back and picking one of these arrays for your new character. Also, it'll be in the video forever.
I put mine at the bottom of this scratch sheet because I know I'll need it when I die.
Destil's coming prepared. All right.
5 con, that's fine, right?
Oh no!
That was
Oh,
Lucius
no,
last
no.
campaign, remember?
No,
And this is
Lucius
why I
had a
didn't want
really
the
bad-
array that had 5.
Friggin' starting with what is that? 3 hit points?
Just don't take
That's
damage, I
fine.
guess.
What is this, second
Yeah.
edition? Yeah, don't get hit. That's how this works.
That's a -3 hit points.
I do technically leave it as an option on the table if you want to roll your hit points. You can. I don't advise it. I advise taking your full hit dice at first level.
Well, first level, I don't think you can. I think at first level, even the
Yeah,
barrel
you get max
hits a full
HP.
6.
Was it?
Yeah.
McDohl had a character who rolled hit points at every level and regretted it. I can't remember now if it was... Couldn't have been Khalil.
Khalil didn't. Khalil had pretty decent hit points. I think it might have been Liberation.
He was
Yeah,
really easy to
Liberation
kill.
had shitty hit points. I know that much.
And then Lucius didn't wear armor. How are you going to gimp yourself in this campaign?
Well, I'm playing Monk.
It's like, I've got a stat array with a 5 in it, Brick Ram. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about. I don't want to hear about gimping there.
5 wisdom, yeah.
So
Oh,
a little
well,
bit about how the government works here. The country that you guys live in is called the Grand Republic of Fernisco. Fernisco consists of a large central province and then many outlying provinces. The central province has 2 large lakes, and in the center of one of the lakes sits the holy city of Brennanine. And I have a map for you of the holy city.
I love a map. Lay it on me.
Is my typing loud this time, or...?
It's very soothing.
Okay. I have a less clacky, but I think very satisfying sounding keyboard right now.
So Brennanine is an island city. It sits in the middle of the largest lake in the central province of the Republic, which is called Grand Fernisco.
Wait a minute. This is the old Dunfoss map. I recognize it.
Is it?
This is the old
The one
Dunfoss
we couldn't
map.
find?
This is the original Dunfoss map.
That's pretty funny, actually.
That is, you're right. I think you're completely right. This looks very familiar.
Welcome back to Dunfoss. Bait and switch
Sorry.
nerds.
I'm sorry.
Going back
Now
to
Pirate King makes more sense.
historical Dunfoss.
I'm sorry.
Flumph 5 secret prologue.
So, shortest summary ever, you can think of the Holy Church in this world as being the Roman Catholic Church. It was founded in a country called Endoline. That's far to the southeast of where you guys live. 300 or 400 years ago, there was a great schism inside of the church, and large waves of refugees from the church, including many of the high-up priests, came to Fernisco to essentially found the church again. So Endoline, which had been the birthplace and the home of the church for thousands of years, lost that, and the new church founded in Fernisco, in the city of Brennanine, became the center of the Holy Church. So Fernisco is now the Holy Republic of Fernisco.
Okay, just so I understand, the original church was like the Roman Catholics and we're Protestants.
A little bit.
Okay, just
The difference is, in this world, all of the vestiges of the old church fell away. The church is called the Aetherine, and essentially, if you live in this world, you are an Aetherine. The only god is air. He created the world. He created people. He banished the old races, the elves and the dwarves and the orcs and whatnot. So for thousands of years, the Aetherine Church, the rest of the world saw Endoline as being the seat of the Holy Church. But in that schism, it came to Brennanine instead. Which is why you guys are now the Holy Republic. Of course, people in Endoline do not like this turn of events. It's a grudge that has been held for 300 or 400 years. In exchange for that happening, though, the church basically came here. They said that the Endoline had become corrupted, had lost the path, etc., etc. We're going to set up shop here, but in exchange, you guys, you barbarians of the north, have to give up a lot of your culture that the Holy Church has problems with. Things like gladiatorial combat and blood sport, warring factions between the provinces. Like, God doesn't like any of this. You're going to cool it, or we're not going to build a cathedral here. And the people in the Republic voted, we definitely want them to build this cathedral here. So there's a lot of like old culture clash that still happens throughout the Republic. But for the most part, you are all Aetherine in good standing. And the rest of the world looks to you, general you and your countrymen, for guidance. Brennanine proper is ruled by essentially a triumvirate of the church, the merchant class, and the nobility. The merchant class is also in charge of military expenditures inside of the city. It's their job to raise the funds to keep an army and a navy for the city and for the greater protection of the outlying provinces. Each of the provinces, every 6 years or so, there's a great process of essentially an election to determine who's going to be in charge going forward. This is a time for turnover in the church. If priests are found to be corrupt or self-serving, they can be replaced. They do this every 6 years or so. Wherever your guys' outlying provinces, your house is one of the great houses of that province that would be considered in Brennanine to kind of be the boondocks. But in a very slim margin and kind of an upset election, someone of your house, probably the house patriarch, but that's really up to you guys, someone in your house was elected to be the governor of the province. They're in charge now for at least the next 6 years. That governor then has a job to select somebody else to travel to Brennanine and represent your province in a role called the Speaker. In theory, this can be anyone. In practice, the governor selects somebody from his own house, and that's what happened here. Your house holds the governorship in your home province, and you have just moved to Brennanine because someone in your household is going to be set up here as the speaker. Your house can be as large and as small as you want it to be. You can have as many or as few people as you want. The only members of the house I will not let you roll up as player characters are the governor, because the governor doesn't live here, the speaker, because the speaker is going to have a lot of political power in town, or their spouses or their heirs. Other than that, everything is free game. So we're going to determine who your house is, what province they're from, what that province is like geographically and politically and militarily, and what your house's spellcasting is, what your house magic is. I think it'd be useful to do this before we start rolling up characters to level 3, but if you guys want to do it the other way around, we can.
I'm still trying to get the noble stuff together myself. So.
Okay.
All right, I think we should do that first.
Okay.
Does anyone... No.
I just have placeholder stuff in the noble class. I'm guessing you guys don't want to be House Hobnobber.
Does
I mean-
anyone have, do we want to do, a theme?
Well,
Does anyone have themes in mind, or...
A theme is going to be kind of required, because
Right.
you're going to think of your noble house as kind of like the dragon marks from Eberron.
Yeah.
Okay, Destil, you know the most about Eberron, so you're probably the best to at least lead the discussion.
I mean, the 13 or 12 houses, depending on whether you want to count Vol, are all super broad. One of them is literally fucking travel,
Right.
And then there's literally there's 2 other houses that are also literally fucking travel, but they worded a different way.
So I have an
The
idea.
magical trains, the magical airships, and the oversea ships are all different houses. So
There are lightning trains in this world, Brick Road.
No. What's your idea, Chris?
So if we're doing this whole church theme, right?
Mhm.
Our house could be like the house that's in pursuit of finding truth, where truth is defined by the church.
Okay. Well, one of the church's main edicts, one of the things that every good Aetherine should do, is seek and share knowledge. That's if they had their list of commandments, one of their first ones is that you should not hoard or secret away knowledge. So that would be you could just be in the church in good standing, and your whole house is trying to either learn new things or seek out people who have learned things but aren't sharing them.
So
Could be 2 facets of that.
it belongs in a museum.
Yeah,
so
basically.
as opposed to truth, it would be more public knowledge or. Which would
Finding things were hidden and making them.
I mean,
known.
truth is a good word. I'm trying to think of. Yeah.
So all magic in this campaign, even I'm not going to restrict any class features in here, but all magic in this campaign comes from artifacts. Some of these were made by the ancients thousands and thousands of years ago. There are people that can craft them today. In practice, most spellcasters are probably artificers in this campaign. But essentially what happened was back in mythological times, there was a sequence of events called the Three Sunderings, where essentially a demon prince came to the world and broke the people's communion with God in 3 ways. And the third sundering was separating man from the magic they controlled, to the point where it was no longer a given that any human being had control of the world's magic. From that point on, the pursuit of magic had to be very specialized. That's where your class features would come into play. And that's one of the reasons your house is so wealthy and powerful, is because you control at least part of that. So there's a lot to discover in this world as far as finding ancient ruins and unearthing artifacts and determining what they do, and then fighting with the church over which of this knowledge should be made public and which shouldn't.
I mean, I'm okay with being
We could do Indiana Jones. And
yeah, I
once
was about to say, I'm okay with being a family of archaeologists. That sounds neat.
That
you
actually
can be
sounds
Tomb
rad.
Raiders.
Yeah, that's good. I also like the idea that the broader sense is the House of Truth, and maybe our branch could be the archaeologist branch.
So as far as house branches go, there's a difference between your house and your household. Your house is your greater family. Everybody related to you by blood inside of your house colors. It's possible to marry out of your house, but basically everybody you're related to. Your household is just your platonic family. Usually just parents and their children that have not married out yet.
So I guess my point is I think that truth actually I like the idea of the high level theme being very broad, and then either just like over time this is what we've adapted to, or the group of people we particularly are all the archaeologists.
Because you had discussed being like a heretic hunter or something, hadn't you?
Yeah, I still totally like the idea of doing that. Like I have the stuff you've given me has fit perfectly into what I was thinking for this character.
So we one of the themes could be we are hunting down people that are trying to hide the truth.
Yeah,
who happen to be heretics because it goes against the church's wishes.
So part of how you guys would make your money then is funding these archaeological digs, finding and plumbing these ancient ruins, and unearthing artifacts that you can then either replicate or reverse engineer or sell on or catalog. And this is where you get your house's magical strength from. And it makes you very wealthy.
Yeah, and I think the reason that our house has become powerful could be that because we've been doing this Indiana Jones thing, we found a bunch of artifacts. We have then learned from them more than other houses, and we're in church's good standings because when we find them, we tell the church that this is what we found.
If everybody signs off on this idea, that sounds great to me.
I'm down.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, again, I think like the high-level theme of truth and then more granular, the Indiana Jones house works perfectly for me.
Well, it's nice to have a high ideal, but then
Yeah.
you do have to make money on that ideal somehow.
Yeah.
Right. It belongs in a museum.
Well, I mean, I feel like, if we're gonna come and announce ourselves, we're not gonna say we are the house of digging around in the dirt. No, we're the house of goddamn truth.
Right.
Yep.
It's a house of it belongs in our museum.
And then we charge admission to see our artifacts.
Like, nobody in House Lannister would tell you that they're the house of murder, rape, and pillage, even though that's what they are. Okay, so what we're going to do next then, we have access to the PHB and Xanathars and Tasha's, all have spells in them. Let's try to look up between 2 and 4 spells of each level, but levels 1 to 5.
Identify.
That would be kind of your house spellcasting. This is what you would get if you pursue your house spellcasting. So you guys won't actually get Smelly Rebuke.
Are we keeping the detect magic house rule from the last campaign?
Yes, we are. That is. Do you guys want to go over the house rules right now? Because that would be.
Yeah, I think that'd be useful because I probably need a reminder outside of detect magic.
I'm only banning 2 things out of the PHB. I'm banning the Lucky Feat because we have another mechanic by which you guys can get rerolls. We're going to do blips again. And I'm banning the Detect Magic spell. In practice, Detect Magic basically just, in my experience running games, just devolves into the players constantly taking 10-minute breaks in dungeons to cast Detect Magic as a ritual and almost never finding anything useful with it. If you're trained in the Arcana skill, you can determine if something is magical basically by just giving a cursory look. Essentially just using an action to check something out can tell you whether or not it's magic. And then a successful Arcana check can tell you whatever Detect Magic would have told you about that item. Like what school it is, what kind of basic properties it might have. It's just a way to give the Detect Magic ability to essentially anybody who is trained in the Arcana skill. The only overlap I'm aware of with this rule is Warlocks have an invocation that gives them Detect Magic at will. And my recommendation is if you decide to play Warlock, just don't take that invocation because it's not going to give you anything you don't already have.
All right, so for first level, identify and comprehend languages are kind of it.
Right, yeah. How many spells per level, Burko?
I would say between 2 and 4. And like
So I think
you
at
guys-
first
you
level
guys
there
can
are only
interpret it-
really 2.
You can interpret it fairly broadly if you like.
Can I petition for Find Familiar because I would really like to have that spell?
Then you should take the ritual caster feat or play a ritual caster because I don't think it's not actually finding familiar, it's actually summon familiar.
Right.
Let's go
a
through the
third-
house rules first, and then we'll get back to the spell list.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
3 Speaking of familiars and summoned creatures and your attendants, which you will all have. Sometimes in the books, those things say they roll their own initiative. Sometimes they say they act on or after your turn. I'm going to simplify that. If there's another creature in combat that you're controlling, they take their turn immediately after yours, regardless of what the book says. It's just too much work to keep track of which ones we're rolling initiative for and which ones just act after you do. It's just easier for me to say they always act after you. The rules as written, if two people roll the same initiative, we're supposed to compare dexterity scores, and I don't want to do any of that. A player will always be a monster if their initiative is tied, and if two players have the same initiative, you guys just figure it out. The actual initiative order does not make a lot of difference after the first round. It's really not that big of an advantage to be higher in the order than lower after that. And I use a alternate rules for long rests. Rules as written, you gain all your hit points back on a long rest. You don't in my games. You can still spend hit dice on a long rest to get hit points back, and then at the end of your long rest, you get half of your hit dice replenished. This means if you're really out in the weeds and are doing just a lot of like overland traveling with a lot of combat, a long rest won't always recharge your hit points. We talked about the leveling requirements. Every time you level up, your character is going to gain a new reputation. So just kind of be on the lookout for that as you're playing. Like if something notable happens during a session, just make a note of it, just jot it down, and then next time you level up, we can turn it into a reputation. By the time you guys are like level 10, you're going to have a lot of titles and things that you're known for, especially if you're out there doing magic archaeology. Destil, didn't you just play Indiana Jones with a gun, basically?
Not really.
He just had the hat.
Yeah, he had a detective's hat. Trench
Get a
coat.
fedora.
Yeah. Indiana Jones was a trilby. Everybody knows that.
Oh, okay. Sorry. All right. Initiative. I think that's it. I have rules here for flight maneuverability. If you have a fly speed but not hover, and you're fighting another creature that has a fly speed but not hover. We literally had a campaign where a character started with a fly speed, and I think I used this edge case twice. Firearms. If your character has access to firearms, which there are artillerists, because the artificers are fairly common, firearm damage explodes, but if you roll a 1 on your to-hit roll, and then you roll a d20 a second time, if that second roll is a miss, your gun explodes in your hands. These are 2nd edition firearms rules, and I think they're hilarious.
You think they're hilarious until the Artificer crits and does like 70 damage.
I thought that was hilarious every time. I've also had it the other way around. I've had an NPC GIF at a table roll that 1 and had his gun blow up in his hands at a really pivotal moment. And then I had to hear about it for years and years. That's pretty much it. That's the only house rules we really go by. Oh, okay. There is one more. The ready action in the game is something that players, it's only meant to be used during combat. You can't ready an action unless we've already rolled initiative. The exception I allow is I allow my monsters and opponents to ready actions outside of initiative, simply because in my experience, telling players to roll initiative and then my side all has readied actions, like there's an ambush happening, leads to a stalemate where nothing happens for 6 combat rounds, and people just all sit there readying actions because they don't know what's going down. So I might have an orc on the other side of the door readying an action. As soon as you open the door, they attack you. And then we can start the initiative from there, rather than having to roll initiative without you guys knowing what's on the other side of the door. I learned that the hard way in Curse of Strahd. And then there's blips, but blips we're going to go into some detail probably later during character creation. I think that's pretty much all the house rules. That's everything on my lists. What is the name of your house? This will be your family name.
Peach.
Montrose sounds like a fancy noble name.
Hold on.
Be Veritas.
Fantasy name generator.
Just look up the Latin word for truth.
Did we get Indiana in there somehow?
Indiana Veritas.
The house name generator.
Is there specifically a house name?
Yeah,
generator?
there's a noble house name generator.
Yay!
Here we go. We got Shepgore, Freenard, Leader, Fourport, Coldall, Springtomb, Conchi, Dill Ass.
No.
I'm vetoing that one.
House Dill Ass.
I'm just going to veto that one.
Herpound and Grogam.
These
These are English names, by the way.
I feel like fantasy name generators has let us down today.
Yeah.
Those are old English house names.
Yeah, I'm not feeling it.
I can't imagine why Dill Ass went out of fashion. What were their coat of arms? You know what?
I
Don't want to.
Do we want to try French? Do we want to try French?
I like French.
Either French or Latin, yeah.
I actually don't know how to say these, so we're gonna
Try
go
your
back to
best.
English. Bride Tomb, Mildall, Pack, Gulman.
This is the part of the stream where Treble just says nonsense words for
Yeah.
10 straight minutes.
Yep. I don't know. I'm making names is hard. I literally named my last character Gus, and then the character before that, I named him Birdie, and there was a bird in the group, and I got yelled at constantly. So
Was Red
you know,
actually-
We were to our favor once, and I loved it. I remember that.
I remember like originally Destil wanted to name Red Asp, but like there was confusion at the table that it sounded like he was saying the word ass.
Oh, he was a member of the Dill Asses. Let's get a house name in the next 10 minutes.
Okay.
Because that's when we're going to take our break. It'll be 4:15.
I mean, we could just go with like, well, I'm assuming Latin does not exist.
No, but you guys can pick a Latin word. I don't care.
I mean, if it's derived from the Holy Roman Church, its Latin words should be fairly common-ish.
Sure. I do want to point out, I said that was the shortest summary ever. The actual church in the game world is not that similar to Catholicism. Except I imagine the great big hats that people wear.
Great,
Our house can be
biggest hat.
inspired.
You guys can wear
Biggest
whatever
hat.
hats you want.
I'm wearing a Pope hat.
Hmm.
We're going with the knowledge theme for these spells, right? If I go a little bit off, like I should go in that direction.
What's knowledge in Latin?
Or truth.
Science.
Truth is veritas. Yeah, knowledge is scientia.
Scientia.
Oh, you're related to Ignis.
Scientia.
Wait, it's Ignis, right?
Scientia.
Yeah, it's Ignis.
Santia?
Seems a little on the nose.
Cognitio.
Prompto Argentum. Just name him Quicksilver.
Do we all like Veritas?
That's fine. We wouldn't have any say on what our family is. We'd be like, oh, freaking. It's like
Okay.
we're all teenagers. Like, yeah, our last name is so on the nose. It's stupid.
Maybe
Yeah,
we, could
Veritas
use
sounds good.
we could try a variant of Veritas.
So I have another one. Verum et mendacium.
Is this a word you want to be saying 10 times every session?
Yeah, Veritas. We want it to be on the nose and easy to say.
Okay.
All right, I have done a short list of spells through the first 5 levels that fit the theme. 4th is Real Dire.
This is in the...
How about,
the spell is
if-
here. He's got first level, identify and comprehend languages.
That's also Real Dire.
Second is augury, detect
We're,
thoughts,
like, we got to trim these down. But this is all the stuff that I think would apply.
find traps,
Yeah.
which is my favorite spell in the game. I love how that spell's working.
Not do that one.
See invisible, zone of truth, locate object, dark vision, You got Zone of Truth on there twice. You must really want it.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I had. Yeah.
Okay. Third level, Clairvoyance, Tongues, Speak with Dead, Intellect Fortress, Speak with Plants, the most useful spell in the book. Fourth level, Locate Creature, Arcane Eye, Divination. Fifth level, Commune, Commune with Nature, Contact Other Plane, Legend Lore, which is another excellent spell. Telepathic Bond, and Scrying. Are these from all three of the books we have, or just the PHP?
Yeah, I have everything filtered for books that we allow in the campaign. I'm going to list what I think the list makes the most sense as, but people can feel free to give me suggestions.
For first level, there's a couple of other spells that probably fit for first level. Detect Evil and Good, Floating Disc, Long Strider, maybe Unseen Servant.
Disguise self.
I'm happy to interpret your house theme as broadly as you guys can make a good case for. I really don't want to put extreme limitations on what spells you're allowed to have and which ones you're not. And you're going to have some access to other spells. Like, you guys aren't the healers or the medics, but there is a house who's in charge of that. And you can have dealings with them where you'll have access to, say, scrolls of cure wounds when you go out into the field. That's the kind of stuff you're going to be able to do with other houses. Or you could just, one of you can multi-class into being a priest and have all the priest spells.
Yeah, I think from a theme standpoint, spells that either reveal truth and lies,
Help us.
somehow augment the ability to do explorations and digging through the dirt.
Yeah. That's why I'm thinking those three. Unseen Servant maybe, but probably not.
And
Yeah.
I'm
Also,
happy to
you
go
know,
to,
spells-
I'm happy to go to 4 spells in each of these levels, because this is your entire house spell list. Noble does not have a noble spell list like a warlock does.
Augury needs to be on there so we can make Brick Road say
Augury is
wheel
on
and
there.
woe. Wheel and woe. Which
So,
is constant.
what were the 2 extra spells we were thinking? So basically, I need an additional 2 spells at first and fourth. I think everything else, I'm really happy with what I've got.
I think Floating
show you guys.
Disc and Long Strider is what I would pick as 2 additional spells.
Sir, I mean, I'm actually better with the idea of Find Familiar, actually searching for something thematically. I think, I don't know, are we the House of Archaeology or the House of Truth?
Both.
Magically. Okay.
My understanding.
Okay, then Floating Disc, yeah.
Floating
Oh,
Disc
yeah.
and Find Familiar. Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
Find Familiar sounds good to me.
We could all have a familiar and
We're
make
just
Brick
good-
Road very angry.
Just gonna skin it as your. Well, if you decide to stick with the noble class and level, I think the level 6, your attendant gains the ability to basically act as a ring of spell storing, which is kind of what a familiar does. You can store spells.
And then
in
we
your
need a
attendant
pair
and
of
then
4th
cast it.
level spells to round out what I've got here.
Obviously, the first level spells are going to be the ones that all of you have. You're only going to get the higher level spells if you continue to level up as a noble.
Right.
Is anyone planning to go past those levels?
I am not.
I am
Not really.
Honestly, probably not.
Then maybe we don't need to worry about anything past first level.
I think it might matter for what's effectively on our spell list, though I don't think that actually matters for Warlock multiclassing, so.
No, but it'll matter in terms of what other houses, like what kind of.
Yeah, it'll also
things
matter
you
for,
find
like,
other houses.
Yeah, I guess it
Also-
still matters thematically.
Also, there could be
Alright.
NPCs that have these
So I'm gonna do-
spells.
Yeah.
I'm going to add Arcane Eye for 4th level. That's pretty hokey, but super good for archaeology.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Dimension Door? Teleport into a place that you...
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Legend Lore. That's 5th, right?
Legend Lore is very
There's my suggestion of 4 spells per level.
Dark Vision, Clairvoyance, Tongues, and like Speak with Plants. Speak with plants. Speak with plants. I think Speak with Dead would be more.
How long
Yeah, I like
long,
Speak with Dead.
what's the time limit on Speak with Dead?
Is there one?
I don't think there is one.
I think it's just
Okay.
5 questions.
Okay.
Before you make that
mean-
decision, in this world, mythologically speaking, plants and wooded areas have a strong association with ancient elves, whereas mineral and mountainous areas have a very strong association with ancient dwarves.
Speak with Rock.
Is Commune with Nature also at level 3? No, it's level 5.
Do the Elvish and Dwarvish languages still exist?
Probably scholars in this world would tell you yes, but whether or not they were actually the languages that elves and dwarves used, or if elves and dwarves ever actually existed, is a very open question of the day. So there definitely are ancient languages you could learn, yes.
So on that topic, in the history of things with people finding these artifacts, has anybody ever found an artifact that has writing on it which is not human writing?
Oh, yes. Anything that... So there's actually a term that gets used, a church term. Things that are evil or monstrous in nature are unseelie. An unseelie artifact is one that is deemed too evil in nature and is kept in protection by the church for the safety of people using it.
So how many unseelie artifacts does our house have hidden away in its vaults?
That's a good question. Probably every house that has some level of wealth and great history to it, like your guys's, you definitely have some skeletons in the closet. We don't have to determine right now what that is, and there may be stuff that you guys don't know about. None of you are at the head of your house. None of you are the patriarch. None of you are their heir. You might not have access to that vault.
I think one thing that an idea we might play around with is sometimes we find these unseelie artifacts, and because we're good people of church, we give them to the higher ups in our house, who then do whatever they do with them that we're not told about.
Oh, that's almost certainly something that happens with every great house. If you go really high up in noble level, you get magical intrigue, and one of the things magical intrigue allows you to do is get higher level spells that you're not supposed to have access to from other houses or from church archives or with unseelie ruins, that kind of thing. It's the same as it's the Warlock's Magic Arcanum, basically. So what is House Veritas? You are magic archaeologists and seekers of truth. So one of the things you're going to have is your house relic. This is basically your spellcasting focus. You can use this as your spellcasting focus for house magic, and you can use it as your spellcasting focus for any other spellcasting class that is able to use one. But it's going to be something kind of specific and symbolic of your house. You could think of this as kind of your house coat of arms.
So everybody likes the spell list, right?
Seems fine to me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and paste the spell list into my notes.
The thing that immediately comes to mind for the question he just asked is a magnifying glass.
I was thinking a compass for finding things.
A compass is a good one too.
I was thinking a shining eye.
Like a shining eye is good. Like an eye, like
the Illuminati symbol?
like a necklace.
Yeah, a little. What's the holy symbol of our religion?
I haven't decided.
Okay.
That's one of the things that I'm kind of leaving as an open question for now.
We could have a magnifying glass with an eye inside of it.
Lens of truth.
Oh my god. Yes,
The lens of truth.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's stupid and I love it.
I'm gonna have to make that
threw
the
it out
revealer,
as a
aren't
joke.
I can make the lens of truth the revealer. So this item could function as an actual magnifying glass, but it's also magical in the sense that it's your spell focus.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's an actual item, what if it's literally a magnifying glass with a human eye inside of it?
That's a little macabre.
It would be considered
That's a little
unseelie by
much.
the church because you are
If
taking people's eyeballs.
if I'm going to play a cleric, can I use that with the same rules the cleric has? I just have to basically be wearing one of those. I don't have to have it in my hand.
Yes, you could wear it around your neck. When
Okay,
you go to
excellent.
use it as a spell casting focus, you have to be holding it in your hand. But when
Yeah.
you can also, I think,
Or have it on a
paladins-
shield.
Yeah,
right?
paladins and clerics can wear it on their shield, and that's perfectly fine.
How about just like a since you said it has to be made out of 10 gold piece worth of materials, maybe we say it has to have a magnifying glass with a gem of
I mean,
a certain
I think
GP amount.
I mean, in most D&D settings, glass alone, that's well enough curve to be a magnifying glass is already easily 10 gold pieces.
Well,
Okay.
the rules of the House Relic in the Noble class is that it actually takes 2 weeks and 50 gold worth of materials
Yeah.
to craft your House Relic. Because it's a magic item, remember.
Oh, that's repairing. Sorry.
Repairing costs 10 gold pieces. So this is something that you're not selling these on the open market. These are treasured objects of your house, and you all have one because you are high enough level in your house to you're a house representative. You're going to be at the very least expected to have access to these level 1 spells that everybody knows you have.
I like the idea of just a magnifying, just general purpose, like just a magnifying glass with a gem in the middle, like maybe some kind of fire eye, like whatever, just like a 50 gold piece gem or whatever. 20
Right,
gold piece.
it's kind of tradition that a lot of people like make one that has like kind of looks like an eye,
Right.
like cat eye agate or something.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
there
yeah.
a particular gemstone?
Well, yeah, we were thinking an agate, maybe. Let's see. Hold
And
on.
agate, yeah.
Tiger eye.
Yeah,
I mean, what color do we want it to be? Like blue, green, orange?
Well, I don't know much about. So agates are 10 gold piece gems, I think.
You could think of most of the material cost of making this as imbuing it with the magic that makes it into a spell focus.
Well, yeah, but we don't want, like, if this is something they're handing out to people, they're not going to be putting like 500 gold piece gems for us.
I think you might be underestimating how rich we are compared to everyone. As Noble's Treble. They're not handing it out to anybody. None of our
Sorry, I'm
retainers-
still used to being
Bring that
30,000
vendor
gold
meme
pieces
gift.
in debt.
But the basic thing to remember is that this is an actual object. It's not just a symbol. Like if you're going to play a paladin and attach this to your shield, what you would be doing is actually making a custom shield with this object actually embedded in it.
Okay.
You can still wear it around your neck or however else you want to do it, but it is the same object for everybody. Within the confines of it being a magnifying glass, though, you can personalize it however you want. One of you can have this gemstone, another one can have this gemstone. One of you could have smoked glass, one of you could stylize it as an eyeball. It's really up to you. But it is
Yeah, I
going to
like
be a
that.
magnifying glass for everybody.
Yeah.
But I like the
Magnifying
idea
glass
of-
with a gemstone in the center.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever use a magnifying glass at all in the previous campaign? Did it ever come up?
We were not very good investigators.
That's true.
Now that the campaign is over, I can say that and not get yelled at.
You could have said it before, it's fine.
The party line no longer needs be towed.
Right. We are
Alright.
the
What is your home province like? Like geographically, is it a river province, desert? Is it the Great White North?
I want it to be super mountainous. With
It's gotta be
lots of
volcano, right?
Places to.
Mountainous.
Are we
volcano?
super villains?
This is rad.
Maybe it's filled with ruins that we think might have been dwarven, but nobody knows for sure because we don't know if dwarves were real. But there's all kinds of ruins in these mountains.
Yeah,
Our
I
family
like a
has kind of-
mountainous with lots of ruins.
Mhm.
I like that.
I'll dig it.
like our family just kind of showed up. Wow, there's lots. And we was like, well, I guess we'll just build a house here, and we never left.
So yeah, so the area could be mountainous region where there's lots of ruins, and then in the foothills down in like the forest area, there's also ruins. And so we don't know if they were made by previous people that live here, if maybe it's like a mix of elven ruins and dwarven ruins, but we just know there's a lot of ruins there. And that's one of the reasons that we started doing this whole archaeology thing.
Oh, I actually read your document.
Yep.
So, how about a one of the things you mentioned in the document, which again, I'm not sure how much of this is we're going to like overwrite. But one of the things you mentioned is the elves and dwarves kind of they got to a point where basically all they had to do was fight each other, and I guess they got bored and just started fighting each other and like doing conflict. So maybe the region is heavily forested, but is also heavily mountainous, where it's the site. These ruins are the sites of battlefields and forts. Which
Okay.
I like that. We live in an ancient battlefield, basically.
I did the homework. I did the required reading.
There's no required reading.
Damn
I
it.
missed that there was required reading.
Yeah, I missed that link. If you could put that in Discord.
Well, I have to finish writing it first.
Okay.
There's the last part of it I haven't complete. It's just disjointed notes until I finish it. Some of it we can go over today though, because it's a little bit of might become important. Okay. What's the name of the province? Remember, this is not like your house's province. You are one of the great houses of this province. Until very recently, some other house greater than yours has been governor of this province, probably for several generations. And the recent election that put you guys in charge has been kind of like an upset there, for whatever reason.
Oh, we've lived here, right? Like, even though we weren't in charge, we've lived...
Oh, in
this
the
is not
province? Yes, your entire life.
Okay, all right.
The intent is, when you come to Brennanine, your house is going to be establishing itself in Brennanine kind of for the first time. There's been no reason for your house to have a presence here. You've never had to act as speaker before. So the house that you've supplanted will already be here in some capacity. You're going to be replacing them in government. So you're coming into the campaign already with political enemies.
Yay!
And 30,000 gold pieces in debt.
Ah, there it is.
Montesado?
Huh?
I was gonna say Montesado.
Montesado.
South
That sounds like the
Warren.
SUV you drove to Brennanine.
That could be too.
How about South Warren? I just want something easy to say that's easy to remember.
Yeah, I like that.
South Warren?
Yeah.
What's North Warren like?
We don't go there. That's where the poor people live.
That's where the volcanoes are.
I mean, is it another province of the Republic, or is it like an unsettled region, geographical region that you've named your province after?
Let's say it's an unsettled barrens, basically. It's on the other side of the mountain range where it's just desolate and
and
just don't go there.
we think it's like that because of the aftermaths of the battles.
Okay.
So it's like a
nothing
big
grows.
Yeah, it's like just this blasted wasteland that nobody wants.
It's Mordor.
Basically.
And there's volcanoes. Well, to make the volcano person happy, there's a volcano there.
Okay, yeah, it's just Mordor. Got it. So you guys live in South Mordor, and there's a North Mordor where the buses don't go.
Yeah.
Now you said South, just Warren, just like
Yeah, like Warren.
like a rabbit warren. Okay,
Yeah.
and all you scared rabbits live down in the south. Okay,
And maybe it's called South Warren because there's a lot of warrens there for rabbits.
I mean, there's a forest.
weird,
Like,
unseelie, mutated rabbits from the volcanic blasted wasteland where nothing grows, and one of them has a magic ring.
listen,
And they speak Elvish.
Right.
they kind of we don't talk. The rabbits are a problem, but they make for good eating.
I know you're joking, but I'm typing in the notes in your province.
No,
notes, the rabbits are a problem.
I don't care. I'm okay with this. I know when I open my big stupid mouth and say and make jokes like that, people run with it, and I'm okay with that.
No, see, I like it because one of the annual festivities that we have in this province is the annual rabbit hunt.
You go and hunt all the mutated rabbits that have started to
It's like-
breed
it's
out
like
of
that-
control.
What is that?
One time, Treble, you said no. You said in a fit of pique we were going to send Gustavus on a date, and it happened.
And it took an entire session.
Well, so the reason
That's a
that we
good
have these rabbit hunts is because the rabbits are really bad for all the farms, right? The farmers try and grow their cabbages and their carrots, but the rabbits come and eat them. And so because there's such a problem, we have to hunt them down once a year.
They eat the livestock.
To be clear, some of these rabbits are eldritch horrors from North Warren.
Right?
They eat the livestock, yes.
They eat the livestock. It's like,
So
oh,
your
you would think they would
province
eat the wheat.
Is on like one of the outer boundaries of the Republic. Like you guys, your province in general, like one of the things the governor is going to have to do, one of the things your family's now in charge of, is like guarding the northern border of the Republic along this mountain range from unseelie natured monsters on the other side. Okay.
Well, it makes perfect sense because there are no good ruins in the middle of the Republic. You got to go where nobody's been.
That's just not true. There are unplumbed ruins all over the world.
Listen,
The best are on the outskirts.
right? Exactly. We
Actually, Brick, I am looking over things, actually building a noble, and I might have one bit of feedback.
Okay.
I think a second weapon proficiency, simple weapon proficiency, would actually be a little bit more appropriate. That way you could at least like have a bow and a dagger.
2 simple weapons?
Yeah, I think that's actually a lot closer to what, like, if you want to do this as a functional character at a high, up to higher levels, I think at least being able to pull out a dagger and not being incompetent with it would be useful. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm just gonna.
Like one
take
simple melee and ranged weapon of your choice, probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do two, it makes sense to me that, you know, because noble, in a lot of senses, would mean like you'd actually have some serious martial training. So I could see like, if you want to use 2 swords or whatever, sure. Like I don't know that you need to specify that one has to be melee and one has to be ranged, but I definitely think if the player wants it, like I think the strength of the classes you can kind of choose, like with the proficiencies and whatnot. So I think if the player wants it, yeah, just 2 simple weapons would probably make it a lot better for someone who wanted to go into this long term.
That's fair enough. You guys can all start with 2 simple weapon proficiencies. I mean, like your starting equipment and stuff is a little weird too.
Yeah, that seems fine. I mean, that seems class appropriate.
You can start with either a riding horse or a pair of mastiffs. So I'm gonna have to keep track of y'all and y'all's attendants and your familiars and your goddamn dogs.
But if I have a horse and my attendant doesn't, I guess they really do have to stay back. So I'm not waiting.
I mean, you might ask your attendant to do, like, filing. You don't ask the attendant to go into a dungeon with you necessarily.
Yeah.
You could.
You must like your attendant.
Just pop up a tent, be like a umbrella, be like, Jeeves, go down and delve that tomb.
My attendant waits outside and carries everything back.
And Jeeves gets eaten by giant mutant rabbits.
The Vorpal bunnies show up. All right, let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break. It's about 4:30. That way, Destil can get a sandwich.
Yep.
We'll reconvene about 4:45, and we will continue setting up your home province.